Happy Sunday morning, everyone. Dustin Young here at Lone Roamer. Wanted to do a review on We Are One wheels. I have been running them for a year now, actually a little longer than that on one set. Wanted to talk about what I like. Wanted to talk about some things I think that could be improved upon, but I have given that feedback also to We Are One. As just sort of, it's all website stuff. It's not really about their wheels. I'm going to tell you, their wheels are amazing. I'm going to start by sharing, I have no discounts, nothing from We Are One. Like any other review I've done or have done so far, no free product, no discounted product, no industry pricing, nothing. This is all just stuff I use, and I thought people might want to hear about the products and what I like and don't like about them, potentially from somebody who's just a user like you, instead of somebody who's getting industry discounts. So We Are One, Canadian wheels, awesome carbon layup, amazing warranty. Using an American-made hub, I love American-made stuff. Finding an American-made wheel set would have to be Envy's. I like Envy's, but I like We Are One's quite a bit more. The other thing is there's very few wheel builders who start with a high-end hub set and stay with a high-end hub set. There are ways, if you go through your local bike shop or you call them, you can do some custom order stuff. For the most part, you're buying a great wheel set. It's got an amazing warranty. Hub warranty matches the rim warranty. So these are things I think that, to consider. Also, crash warranty. I mean, if I break one, I'm just going to drop it off at my local bike shop, and they are going to the backcountry up here in Trenton, California, and they're going to send it in, and I'm going to wait for a wheel to come back. So, that's always a great thing. I also keep my spare set of aluminum wheels that came off the bikes in case I do happen to break or screw up a wheel somehow, and that way I have a set of wheels always handy. So, little suggestion, little tip, don't sell your aluminum wheels just because you can get $300, $400, $500 from them. You might actually want those things later. Case in point, I have a rear wheel in for warranty right now due to the hub, not the wheel, and that is a DT Swiss hub. Get into my love-hate relationship with DT Swiss at some point, but it's off, so I have a standard rear aluminum hub on my race bike, on my cross-country race bike. So let's get into the We Are One wheels, what I've got, what I built. I got some notes here if you catch me peeking over. It's a pretty good amount of information, so I want to make sure I had notes to jump back and forth to. Hydro hubs, pro tip, Dumont-Tech hub grease. Hydro hubs can be really quiet. Now if you're somebody who wants your hubs really loud and you want everybody to know you have loud hubs, that's great. Ride your hubs how you want to ride your hubs. But if you actually have always thought, man, I really like a quieter hub, something that I can actually ride and hear my tires when I nail that corner, right? We all love that sound. Or I can just enjoy nature when I'm cruising along. Hydra hubs, Dumont-Tech hub grease. Problem solved. Super amazing engagement, American-made hub, nice and quiet. And they perform really well. And if in the summer you want a little lighter, in the winter the grease is amazing because now we get into the water, and so you've got some grease, which is a better water repellent, aside from the silencing factor. So, Yeti SB150, love that bike. I ride it all over the place. I've got my wife's Yeti SB130 lunch ride. Both of these have Cascade Designs links on them, so they're both more than they came. And then the bike that's not here, because I don't bring it up to Truckee once we get to this time of year, is the Mondraker F-Podium RR. I bought the frame and built it, so it's a downcountry. It's 120 mil front fork, but it's built for racing. I actually was trying to race a bunch this year and COVID, so no racing, and maybe next year it'll see some good racing. The TRX setup, I need to get myself in race shape. I'm pretty far from that as well. The wheels. On the Yeti, I am running a Convert up front and a Union out back. So 35 mil internals up front, 30 mil internals out the rear, and I am running Michelin Wild Enduros front and rear. I love the Wild Enduros. I mean, the knobs, the traction, the strength. They're a little bit heavy, and that wheel and tire combo is definitely some unsprung weight. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But you know, at this point, when you're riding loose in Tahoe, and you're riding things that, you know, might get a little steeper, when you're trying to dig in the corners, you have to start to trade off some unsprung weight for some high traction. You know, that's one of the things that, I mean, the downhillers run downhill casings for a reason. Better for the tire to be tough and better to have traction than to have unsprung weight that's lighter, because, you know, if you can't get to the bottom, then it doesn't matter. So, you know, I love the Wild Duros. That set is probably 6-ish pounds. I'd have to weigh it, you know, but I tend not to worry about that on that particular bike. It's 30.5 pounds as it's built with coils and all the other good stuff, so I don't get too excited. A year later, perfectly true. Hubs rolling perfectly smooth. I do service my hubs pretty regularly. I'm sort of a service freak. I've got brand new bearings for that bike. It's been a year. It's time for bearings. Even if I pull them out, even if I take them and they're good, I'm going to pull them out and replace the bearings. It's not worth it. I just, once a year for $60, I do the bearings. So I keep everything running smooth. The other really cool thing about that bike is it is running in the wheel and tire combination, the CX-Ray spokes. It does help with a little bit of weight. I actually like it for some stiffness. One of the things that I love about the WR1s is they are tuned, so you can tell on the ride that when you're coming around a corner and you catch that rock, it does what it's supposed to, and it allows that wheel to compensate without extreme flex, and it gives you ride compliance, but it's still stiff enough that you don't get tossed offline from a highly flexing wheel. On the wife's 130, we are running Factions front and rear, actually, and she has been running those for a while now. She's got a year on them as well. 27 mil internals. They're about 1,665 grams or 3.7 pounds for the wheel set. She's running Wild AMs. My wife is a whopping 5'2" at about 110 pounds. So, you know, we can run lighter gear, and it's probably the equivalent of running much beefier gear. This is her first full year of really riding, and she's progressed amazingly well. If she really continues to progress, we'd probably beef up the wheels. One of the differences, I would have probably done a union front on hers had I really thought about it. That way she had a little bit wider front, so it would flatten out that traction patch. That is why I run a 35 mil front here and a 30 mil rear on this one. I want the roll, a little narrow, the roll out the back. Still plenty of traction patch, so you're getting over everything. But on the front, I wanted to bring those knobs down so you could dig a little better. On her bike, that's probably something I would have changed, but the wheels, again, perfectly true. Hydra hubs, keep them serviced, pro grease. Super quiet, and they spin and they roll and they're going good. CX-Ray spokes. She's got all that stuff covered. Her total build, I mean, is really nice and light. In the winter, we were running a Forecaster out back and a Dissector up front. When her bike was air, no Seekis, no coil, I actually had this bike down to about 28.5 pounds, which for a lunch ride SB130 is pretty bombing. That's part of why I did the wheels and tire setup the way I did it. I'd have added the weight in hindsight now that she's progressing so much, but runs great, rides great. She's crushing it. So, you know, we'll see where we go from there. The Wild AMs, I run Wild AMs on another bike. I think they're great tires. I do think that they hook up pretty well. I can tell you up here on Truckee trails, they work pretty good until it gets really loose, and then, you know, like anything else, you just run out of knob to dig down to that nice traction section of dirt. For her, I don't know why she doesn't experience it as much. Maybe it's because she's not, you know, as she's progressing, she's still leaning more, or still learning to lean more. So maybe she's just not at that place where the side knobs need to dig deeper, and she's not pushing the speed yet. Not that she's slow, she's actually pretty damn quick on a bike for where she's at in her progression. But the tires seem to be working really well for her, and so I'm probably going to leave it alone. She has great rolling resistance, so she can climb pretty well. They're 800 grams of tires, so they're not the world's lightest tires, and once it snows here, I'll probably take her back to the Forecaster and the Dissector, because the Forecaster is a fantastic wet weather rear tire. So when she's riding around Folsom Lake and in Auburn and Salmon Falls, she has that good back traction. The Wild AMs from my experience, don't seem to do as well in the wet as the Forecaster. It's not designed like the Forecaster is for the wet. So, But amazing tires, love them. I'm a big fan of Michelin tires. They've made a big comeback. And I might try some of Michelin's cross-country tires coming up. I just haven't yet. Last set of wheels are actually on the Mondraker. I run a Union in the front, 30 mil up front. Again, because the design of this bike was actually to run 2.4, whether that 2.4 is going to be like the Icon, the new 2.4, or right now I got Recon Race 2.4s. And the rear tire is not on the bike because of course it's running an aluminum wheel while I'm waiting for the hub to get warrantied and back. But the front is a little wider, great traction pads, gives you that little bit of additional traction, especially on a 2.4 tire. That's a WT. And out back I'm running a Faction at 27 mil internals. DT Swiss 180 hubs, ceramic bearings, man, they roll. There's no doubt about it. Problem, rear axle bearings already gone. They lasted 90 plus days, maybe 100 days. And it's pretty shot. Now, the bearings in the free hub body, spinning perfect. The bearings in the front wheel, spinning perfect. Maybe I just got a bearing that wasn't quite installed correctly, so it wasn't seated and perfectly flush. It was getting a little angled load or side load or preload or something it's not supposed to be getting, some kind of angled preload that's wearing the bearing out. I don't know, but it definitely went, and so it's off to DT Swiss. This isn't the first time I've had a set of DT Swiss rear hub bearings go. The idea would be that apparently I can ride any other hub and not have this happen, but if I ride DT Swiss hubs, they tend to be cursed for me. I had one fully seize up going through baby heads in Downeyville. As the wheel left the bike, I luckily got both feet on the ground and kept from going into a wonderful disaster during racing Downeyville. So got really lucky, ended up zip tying the axle to the frame, and that led to its own issues, but I finished the Downeyville race 5 hours instead of 3. Pretty brutal, but did get done, did finish the ride, and didn't have to abandon the bike. But that's my thing with DT Swiss hubs. I love them. They work great. That 180 is loud, and I tried some grease, doesn't work. I tried their grease, doesn't work. It is loud, and I'm not a big fan of loud hubs. If I didn't know it was going to be that loud, I'd have probably just found a different race hub or just went with a little more weight and went with the Hydras. This bike is built to race, so hopefully when it gets back, it runs perfect, and it is an amazing race wheel. Running the Faction rear, probably the lightest I can go on a mountain bike the way I ride. After that, I'd probably be running the risk of breaking wheel. I'm not out to find out how good they are at their warranty, because that means you don't finish a race or other problems. So I really wanted to build something that was still tough, but could handle a race bike with short travel suspension. The Wild AMs are on that bike right now. Awesome, fast, high traction. Been great in Tahoe until probably the last few weeks, where now it's just wants to tuck and skid and slide and drift, and more than I would like on that bike. And so I've left that bike down the hill, and so it's gonna spend most of its time now in Auburn, so I've already made the tire change. The Recon Race on the front, that I rode it the other day, and it not only does it roll really well, that 2.4, the new Recon Race 2.4 WT, the traction was incredible. Not incredible, the couple real loose sections I hit, probably just okay, but great everywhere else, so you just manage it. The wheels, again, are just super light, CX-Ray spokes. I think the wheels are at 1,224 grams. I'm at 1,300 grams worth of race tires. I mean, you're talking about an extremely light. That bike, you want the light unsprung weight. I want the lay the hammer down, take off, spin up fast, get over things well. It's all about forward momentum and speed, and you need to have that nice light unsprung weight. And then it does make the suspension more efficient. And when you're running 120 mil up front, 100 out back, unsprung weight matters. When you're running 155 and 170, it matters, but the matter goes down quite a bit. If anybody wants to talk more about unsprung weight, I'd be happy to do a review on how it works and why it matters, and how it plays into the handling of a bike. But again, you compensate for that with your dampers and your air and all those other things. So, the difference in when you're running the wheels and tire combination on the Mondraker, the difference is the Mondraker in full race setup's about 23.1 pounds. When you go to Wild AMs, you go to 23.9 pounds. So it's little more than 3/4 of a pound of unsprung weight. So it's a real change just in tires, and you do notice it on the bike. it will be interesting when I get the hub back to see how much better the bike rides, because when I went to service the hub and realized I had a problem, I think the bike's going to change in characteristic, because I think that hub was dragging a lot, and it just is something that I need to deal with. And then I'm going to get better forward propulsion. Plus, I'm going to be running the Recon Race 2.4 out back at that point. So it should be pretty fast bike, pretty well set up, ready to race, ready for winter. Going to be interesting to see how those tires do in the wet. I do ride a lot in the winter. I don't ride once it's a sloppy mess, but I do ride in the wet rocks. And the rocks around Auburn and down the hill in California are mossy, so they're really slick. It's not like up here where it's a lot of granite, so you can still get away with some pretty good wet riding. So anyway, the We Are One wheels are awesome wheels. The company's been great. I actually email back and forth with them when I want to know stuff. The things that I would change are all website based. If you want to order a convert front and a union rear, so far on their website, not so great. You don't go on, you don't do that. You have to start doing custom builds. So you have to go to your local bike shop or go to somebody and get them to call them, or you have to call them and you have to go through the order process. When you do custom color hubs, at the time they were, or when you're just ordering color hubs, I shouldn't say custom, you're ordering colored hubs, it would slow the process down, because obviously they kept a lot of just the black hub in stock. They were amazing when I wanted to order one wheel when I was mulleting a bike. That's actually how I found them. And they took care of that, so that was awesome. That's actually this wheel, and it's what started me on the We Are Ones. It's the front wheel on the SB150, the convert. If you want to change colors on your stickers, or your stickers are just coming off and you want to order them, not so easy. In emailing with Tyler, I believe is his name, he did say that a lot of those changes are coming. They will be doing some upgrades to the website and making it a little easier to order individual wheels, custom combinations of wheels, etc. I will be adding a set of their gravel wheels to my rodeo at some point. I do love their wheels. I think they're tough. I have a Rodeo Labs, the Trail Donkey, awesome bike. And I do think if I added the We Are One, I'm running the rodeo wheels, they're pretty good. They come out of true a lot. And that's one thing. I don't have a single We Are One wheel that's out of true. And I hammer that Mondraker with such little travel that is amazing. They got a lot of travel and a lot of tire to protect them, but they're not out of true. A year of riding, that bike gets smashed, I make mistakes. I mean, it's a bruiser. I mean, sometimes you don't care. You just go straight down the rock line. You don't worry about it because the bike can. And so that's when you run the risk of, knocking your wheels out of true, flex them, and the compliance is amazing. They stay true. They're an awesome wheel set. I have not had to true them once. Where another thing they could improve on is that rim tape. It's not such an issue with Maxxis tires, but when you run a tire that's got a tighter bead, their rim tape is one and done. And it isn't like they send a bunch of extra, and then you're back to taping instead of using their strip style tape. Either make that really easy to buy, or always send an extra set with the wheels, because it doesn't last. The tire itself, as you go to squeeze it at the bead to take it off, just caves it in, and it drags right off, and it's no good. And I'm sure part of that's the sealant, sticking the tire to it. The other thing is just such a tight tire on the bead, it destroys the rim tape. So hopefully this is a really good review. Hopefully you got a lot of good information out of this. I know I talked about a lot of other things, but the point was these wheels are amazing. Also, a light review of Michelin tires. I love the Michelin tires. The Wild Enduros, if you're riding, I have not needed cush core ever again. I have not done a lot of things. And I rode North Star 2-3 weeks ago, and I ran 25 and 23 and never smacked a wheel. My wife is actually running 17 in the back and 14 in the front with Wild AMs, and she's not smacking wheels, and she's getting amazing traction. So the tires are awesome. They run great, they work great, they're tough. They've lasted all year with no flats. Hopefully no jinx in today's ride. No flats, no punctures, no nothing. Never had, when you first get these, it looks like the knobs don't want to last. The knobs are still on it. They look beat up. They should look beat up. They had all last fall and all this year of riding in Tahoe. They should look beat up, and they do. They're not coming off the bike. I love a good Maxxis tire. I don't have any problem with Maxxis tires. But boy, you can take the knobs off a Minion in a hurry, and it only takes a little while, and they start shedding knobs. And the more knobs you shed, less corner traction you got. So, you know, I think that's a big thing here is I think Michelin has nailed it. I think their tires are tougher. Yep, they're a little heavier, but if you're gonna ride Tahoe and you buy a double down casing so that it's a tough enough tire to deal with some of the trails, it's lighter than a double down casing, and it's, at this point, tougher. And the traction's amazing. So I think there's some things to consider in what kind of tire you really should be running. If you're running trail stuff, run the Wild AMs. It's just a mini Wild Enduro tread pattern and all. So, you know, a little narrower. So great tires, amazing wheels. If you're considering buying any brand of wheel, think about We Are One. Think about supporting something that's North American continent, not made overseas. Think about supporting them with a nice American-made hub. Hey, maybe you can even convince them to go to an American-made spoke. Maybe they can work with Industry 9 and get the spoke stuff worked out so that you're getting 100% North American continent built wheel. So anyway, hope you guys are having an awesome Sunday morning. Again, if you like this video, please hit like. Please subscribe to my channel as I continue to build this out. I appreciate all the subscribers, and I hope you're all having an amazing Sunday morning.